This is grammar lesson 4.4, Go verbs. In this grammar lesson, we're going to explore some verbs that have irregular yo forms in the present tense. Typically, you would see the yo form conjugated with the o as your ending, but in these verbs, it's going to have a go, and that's what makes them irregular, and that's why I call them the go verbs. Let's get started with a list of the verbs that we're going to be using today. Caer, which means to fall. Decir means to tell or to say. Hacer is to make or to do. Oír means to hear. Poner, to put, to place, or to set. Salir, to leave or to go out. Suponer, to suppose. Tener, to have. Traer, to bring. And venir, to come. You might recognize these verbs tener for to have and venir to come. We talked about these verbs in grammar lesson 3.4 when you learned the tener expressions that can be used to express that someone or something is a certain way. You'll notice that these are both stem changing verbs. E to IE is the stem change, and I've highlighted that with the color red. The thing about these verbs that makes them irregular is not their stem change, but rather their yo form. Instead of the yo form of tener being yo tieno, it's yo tengo. And same with the yo form for venir. Instead of vieno, it's vengo. Throughout today's lesson, I would recommend color coding your stem changes with a red pen or some color if you have one, and then also highlighting your irregular yo forms where you see the go ending. That way when you look back on your notes, hopefully these conjugation patterns that are a little bit different will pop out at you and you'll recognize them easily. Let's take a look at the verb hacer, which is to make or to do. You'll notice that the yo form ends with a go in yo hago for I make or I do, but all of the other forms conjugate exactly like any other regular pattern er verb would conjugate. Here are the conjugations for the verb decir, to say or to tell. You'll notice that this is a stem changing verb with an E to I stem change. The stem change occurs in the yo, tu, el, ella, usted, ellos, ellas, and ustedes forms. It does not conjugate in nosotros and vosotros, similar to all the other stem changing verb forms you've noticed. Because like we have said before, nosotros and vosotros are what we call outside of the boot. So if you were to draw your boot around your stem changing forms, it would exclude those. Now, the thing about decir that makes it irregular, much like tener or venir, is not that it's a stem changing verb. The thing that makes it irregular is the yo form pattern with the go ending. Here are your conjugations for the verb oír, which is to hear. You'll notice this is also a stem changing verb, but this is a stem change you've never seen before. This is where the I in the infinitive verb oír changes to a Y in the to form, as well as both of the third person singular and plural forms. Your yo form, again, you'll notice is irregular with the go ending. Here are your conjugations for the verb poner, to put, to place, or to set. Again, the yo form is irregular with the go ending, and all the other forms follow the regular pattern of any other er verb. Please note that the verb suponer for to suppose will conjugate exactly the same way as the verb poner, only it has the additional su at the beginning of each verb form. Next is the verb salir, to leave or to go out. You'll typically see the preposition de used with the verb salir to indicate that someone is leaving from a certain place or going out of something. So if I said, for example, yo salgo de la casa, then I'm saying I leave from the house or I go out of the house. These are your conjugations for the verb traer. You'll notice in the yo form, this one is especially irregular because it has an IGO where you would typically have an E, that I is inserted. All the other forms conjugate just like any other ER verb, so just remember that the yo form for traigo is a little bit different than the others. Also, you'll want to note that the verb caer conjugates the same way as traer, only of course where you have a TR in the traer forms, you would have a C in the caer forms. Okay, that completes your conjugation examples. Make sure you have all of these copied into your notes, and check your spelling to make sure you spelled them correctly. As I mentioned earlier, I would recommend color coding these notes as well, and be ready to practice using these verbs in class next time.